Today, we're going to be looking at a way where we can utilize UiPath to pull down COVID statistics and alert an employee if they should work from home today. Let's get started. On your right, you'll see a spreadsheet. There's about 1,000 rows, and this contains all of our employee data. The information that we're looking for is the email, the city, the state, and the zip. What we'd like to do is pull down information from a public data set that's available online. We want to pull in the statistics, namely the positivity rate, or the percent positive. We want to do that for every zip code on this list. If the percent exceeds a specified threshold, we'll send an email to the employee, alerting them to stay home that day. There's two areas we're going to pull data from today, New York and Washington. Sometimes it's very, very easy to get information. For New York City, we only have to make one call. And that's it, we have our data. Let's take that data and put it into our workbook. Beautiful. We now have the positivity rates for every zip code in New York City, all in under a minute. Lovely. Let's move on to the next state. Sometimes data isn't always readily available. For New York City, we were able to pull down everything with one activity. Let's take a look at Washington's data source. You can view the data through a dashboard. Now let's take a look at this dashboard. It looks like we can only click one city at a time. I think that's going to take a long time, especially if we have to do it every day. Maybe there's a way to download the data. We're not allowed to download that data. The data exists somewhere. The data is accessible. It's just not as easy to get as it would be for New York City. Maybe there's another option. It looks like we can download a data set. But it looks like it's outdated. It's very important that we're using live data, if not the most recent data. And I don't think we could settle for this. I don't want to compromise. It looks like I might need to spend a long time clicking each one, and maybe I can, I can't even copy and paste this. It looks like I would need to click on every city every day. That doesn't sound like fun. Not to worry, we have a solution. Our robot has our back. It's going to help us out. We're going to briefly take a look at one of my favorite workflows. It's the secret sauce behind how we're able to pull this information out. We're actually using a bit of OCR. If you remember, we couldn't highlight this information. If we right-click, nothing happens. If we click Control-A, some text is highlighted, but the text that we're looking for is not highlighted. So what we'll do is, for every city, we're going to click on the city, and then we're going to OCR this table, extract the information, and then add it in to our centralized workbook. There's a few different ways to pull this out. What we're doing here is OCR, and we're actually using two different packages. We're using Google Cloud Vision OCR, And we're also using Tesseract. So based on what you're pulling out, it might make sense to use one or the other. It's hard to say which one is best for everything. And the best way to figure that out is to do a little bit of testing and review the results, see which gets you the greatest confidence. There's one more area that I thought would be valuable. When we click on a new city, it takes a moment for this table to update. We want to make sure that we're pulling out the right information, and it would be a shame if we automatically clicked on the next city but pulled out the previous city's information. So what we can actually do is a do while loop. We're going to keep looking at this title, and once it changes to Ghana, it's going to proceed with pulling out our table. And that way we know we're pulling out the right information. Let's get started. All right, so now it's moved to the proper city, and all this data is being sent over to Google to do a little bit of OCRing. I believe Tesseract is being done locally. You wouldn't need an internet connection for that. Let's take a look at our workbook. There it is, beautiful. We've now pulled in the information for Ghana. We weren't able to get the zip code, unfortunately, and we can talk about that in a little bit, but it does present an additional challenge. So from this point, I'm going to let it run. All right, we're clicking on the city. We're checking to make sure the data has been updated, and now we're writing it to our workbook, and we're moving on to the next one. We're going to do this for all of the cities in King County. It should take approximately 5 minutes. Excellent. So we've just finished pulling down the rest of the information from the King County website. Let's take a quick look. Excellent. Now let's go back to that employee tab and see if anything's changed. Excellent. Our Excel formula is doing exactly what we hope it would. If you remember before, we were able to pull the zip code from New York City data, but we couldn't get it from Washington data. When we're in a situation like this, we'll need to use a different key to identify which row to select. If you're in New York, we can use the zip code. And so we can do that with a little bit of Excel magic. We're going to do two index match formulas. It's essentially a VLOOKUP. It's a very resilient VLOOKUP, I would say. And we're going to combine that with the if error function. At first, we're going to try and do a lookup by zip code. If we can find it, we'll return the value. If we can't find it, this formula will error out. After that, we'll try the next index match formula. This formula uses the city to pull in information. The final step will be to send an email to every employee on this list who lives in an area with a positive percentage above 10. Let's try and see how many emails we'll have to send out today. That's a lot of emails. 282. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't have time to send 282 emails today. And so, as I'm sure you've guessed it, the bot is going to help us out one last time. The final step is to go through every row in this list and then draft the email. Here's my outbox. We're in the sent folder. I've cleared it all out so it's empty. And let's finish up strong. And there you have it. If an employee lives in a region that has a percentage that's exceeded our specified threshold, we send the email out and we make a note of it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Until next time. In case you're wondering, yes, all of these emails actually are real. I had to make about 1,000 of them, but you should know I didn't do that manually. Stay tuned.